Claire Preston had always believed that some truths were better left unspoken, not because they were shameful, but because they preserved a delicate sense of peace. Living with her husband, Ryan, in the breezy historic beauty of Charleston, South Carolina, Claire thought she had found her rhythm in life. Their marriage wasn't flawless, but it was steady. She worked part-time at a small art gallery downtown, while Ryan, an architect, frequently traveled up and down the coast for various projects. Life felt settled, familiar. They were happy, or at least Claire believed they were. That illusion shifted on a quiet Thursday afternoon. Claire had no intention of visiting the park that day. Her plan was to stay home, organizing the gallery's inventory for an upcoming exhibit. Yet something, perhaps the warm late summer breeze or the faint sweet scent of honeysuckle drifting through the air, pulled her toward the water instead. She wandered to Colonial Lake, a peaceful park not far from where she had grown up. Beneath the sweeping shade of a willow tree sat Thomas, an elderly man she had been quietly meeting for the past year. Thomas wasn't a stranger. He was her biological father, a man she hadn't known existed until after her mother's death. Her mother, Janice, had raised Claire alone, never speaking of him. Claire had always believed her father had died before she was born. That belief crumbled when, while sorting through her mother's attic after the funeral, she found a letter that told a different story. The first time they met, Claire hadn't known what to say. Thomas's eyes welled with tears the moment he saw her. "You look just like your mother," he'd said softly. Since then, their meetings had been marked by shared coffee, faded photographs, and conversations that were awkward but deeply heartfelt. Claire had never told Ryan about Thomas, not because she distrusted him, but because she wasn't ready to revisit old grief or face questions about why she had never asked more about her childhood. She wanted to keep this connection personal until she felt prepared. Now, under that willow tree, she laughed quietly at a story Thomas was telling about a gust of wind snatching his hat and sending it skimming across the lake. Then she heard it. Her name, spoken in a voice that made her blood run cold. She turned, and there was Ryan standing just a few steps away, a takeaway coffee cup in his hand. He looked frozen, his brow furrowed, eyes shifting between her and Thomas. "I was grabbing lunch after a meeting," he said slowly, almost uncertainly. "I saw you from the sidewalk." Claire rose to her feet, her voice trembling. "Ryan, this is Thomas." She hesitated before adding, "He's my father." Ryan's face went blank. "Your father? But I thought—" "I know," Claire interrupted gently. "I thought he had passed away too. I only found out last year. I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how." The silence that followed was heavy, almost suffocating. Ryan gave Thomas a polite nod before saying quietly, "I think I'll give you two a moment." Then he walked toward the edge of the lake. Claire sat back down, her hands shaking. Thomas, ever composed, placed a hand over hers. "I'll head out," he said softly. "You need to talk to him." Later that evening they sat together on the couch at home. No TV, no background noise. Just the weight of what had happened lingering between them. "Why didn't you tell me?" Ryan finally asked, his voice low but steady. "I was afraid," Claire admitted. "I didn't want to make things complicated. I thought if I kept it to myself for a while I could process it alone. But instead, it became something I carried in silence." His gaze softened, though sadness still lingered there. "You don't have to carry things alone, Claire. That's what I'm here for." Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I was wrong." Ryan pulled her into his arms. "You made a mistake," he said gently. "But I understand. Just promise me. No more walls between us." "I promise." The days that followed were awkward at first. Claire properly introduced Ryan to Thomas, and while both men were polite, there was a cautious distance between them. Gradually, that distance began to close. 6 months later, Thomas sat at their Thanksgiving table, carefully carving the turkey while Ryan brought in a steaming bowl of mashed potatoes. It wasn't perfect, and it wasn't without its complexities, but it was real. Claire realized then that the moment Ryan saw her at the park hadn't broken them. It had given them the chance to rebuild, with more honesty, more depth, and more understanding than before. Because love isn't about never having secrets. It's about finding your way back to each other when you do.